Hey guys, today we're going to actually take a break from our series, this new series that we have going on. And if you remember, that series is called What's Next? And we're talking about what's called the rapture of the church. It just means that time when Christians leave this world and they're going to heaven. And we're going to talk about that. And I think you're going to find it really, really interesting. And that's going to be next week. And we're calling it Our Hope, because the truth is, it is what the Bible calls a hope of ours. It's what we're hoping to have as Christians. But today I want to talk to you about a dangerous church. I want to talk to you about a church that is considered dangerous, but not in a bad way. Dangerous in a good way. A church that actually stops singing songs but starts worshiping with their heart. A church that decides that they're not just going to read their Bible, but they're going to apply the scriptures to their life. A church that says, I'm not just going to pray a little prayer, but I'm going to call on the name of God. In other words, a church that takes the things that we normally do and makes it very, very real. And when that happens, something else occurs that makes that church far more dangerous. They begin to take on the mission of Christ. That great commission of winning their world for Jesus. They start believing that if the Holy Spirit's working through us and we're working together in unity, there's nothing we can't do if we do it together. And then empowered by the Holy Spirit, dangerous churches start changing their world. And I believe with all my heart that we are quickly becoming a dangerous church. And I love it. As I talk about this, I want to look at Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 9 down through verse 12. And it says this. It says, two are better than one. So he's saying it's not enough just to do something on your own. We need people with us. We need people with us actually helping us do what we need to do to stay on mission. He says because they have a good return for their labor. So two working together work faster. They're more proficient. They're more efficient. And good things happen when we're working as a team. He goes on in verse 10 and says, if either of them falls down, one can help the other up. Why do we need to work together and be together? Because dangerous churches don't leave someone behind. They pick up people and take them with them. That when one falls, they pick them up and carry them along. He says, but pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Verse 11 says, also, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? We need each other to stay together and insulated and on mission. Then in verse 12, he says, though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of three strands is not quickly broken. Think about this. You realize that, we look at it, we think steel is so powerful and so strong, and it is. We build things out of steel that we want to last. But did you know scientists have come together and said that pound for pound, a spider web is actually stronger than steel. Those little threads all brought together are more powerful, can hold more weight, can carry more than actually steel can. Spider webs. So when you think about these, you realize that there's something powerful about being together. And he says himself, he says a cord of three strands is not quickly broken. How important is it that God tells us that we need to be together? A cord of three strands is not quickly broken. When we think about this, and we realize there's great power when we work together on anything. Now, I love the movie Gladiator. My wife doesn't like it so much, but at least once a year, and sometimes if it's a good year, twice a year, I just say, honey, I'm sorry, this is that day I get to watch Gladiator. She mocks me for it a little bit, but I love one of the scenes in there where Russell Crowe is playing Maximus Decimus Meridius, and which is Gladiator. Matter of fact, he calls himself Gladiator in there. And he's along with many other slaves, and he's formerly a Roman, really a military leader, general. And now he has been reduced to a slave, and he's in the middle of the Colosseum in the arena. And they're going to send out all of these horses and chariots with long swords and people with spears and bow and arrows. And what they're going to do is they're going to come and they're going to pretend that it's the Battle of Carthage, and it's going to be some kind of show to all of the screaming crowds. And the crowds are screaming because they're expecting these people to come out and to kill all the slaves, and they get to watch a bloodbath because it was a really, really bad environment. But he, being a former military leader, understood the power of together. And he calls the slaves together and he says, I don't know what's going to come out of those gates here in this Colosseum. But he says, whatever happens and whatever comes out, we will be safe if we stay together. He goes on, he says, if we stay together, we live. And of course, they actually won. Now, when I think about this, it reminds me of another aspect where I feel like our church is coming together and has come together as one. It's something we had for 2020 called Kingdom Builders. And some of you already remember this, but for those of you who have recently been coming to the church, and maybe those who did hear it and you just need to be reminded of it, let me tell you what Kingdom Builders is about. We as a church decided that above our regular tithes and offerings and missions giving, that we're going to give an additional $42,140 to other missions projects around the world to make a difference, to bring compassion, to help with natural disasters, and just to love people. And we broke this down. We broke down this goal and we said, how is this going to be broken down? And so we actually laid this out to our congregation right in the beginning. And we said $8,500 of this is going to go right here to America. $1,000 is going to go to Chi Alpha, which is working with our university students right here at Rowan University. We said $5,000 is going to go to Teen Challenge. Teen Challenge is the most successful drug and alcohol rehab program in the world. And we, with that $5,000, were able to build a room onto the existing building that's there. And actually, someone matched our $5,000 with another $5,000, someone outside of the church, which made this a total of $10,000 going to Teen Challenge, which means that we built a room that housed 4 beds. That means 4 people that are coming off drugs and alcohol, we've had a part in, and we're going to continue to have a part in that, because once that person graduates out of the program, 4 more come in. Once those people graduate, 4 more come in, and it keeps happening because of Calvary Hill Church. We said $2,500 is going to For Dignity. For Dignity is a ministry really primarily made up of women ministering to women. But the women that they're ministering to have come through some very difficult circumstances. And because I don't know who all's watching this, and maybe some young minds, I'll just put it this way, that these women, some have made bad choices, some have been trafficked, but now they're working in an environment that they did not want to work in. They're working in locations and under managers that it's really, really incredibly painful. But our ladies have been able to go in along with other ladies from churches in South Jersey, and they're able to minister the gospel. Matter of fact, they're allowing ladies to come in and actually be able to have church services with them. But with this, they've been able to get into prisons now as well. And what we're doing with this $2,500 is we're buying 2,500 copies of a book called Shine. And this book is the second most requested book in the prison systems in Mississippi, South Jersey, and Philadelphia area of women's prisons. And it's second only to the Bible itself. Not only that, but we're going to take another $5,000 and we're going to invest it into the Middle East. I know what Arab country this is, and I know who the missionaries are. I've been asked not to mention it. And I can tell you that this country is about 99.7% Islamic. And what this missionary couple is going to be doing is they're going to be building a community center. We're going to be helping with that. They're going to do various things in there. They're going to have women's groups. Women are very open to the gospel in Islamic countries, or at least I should say more so than the men, because they are so suppressed in that religion. And they love the liberty that Christ brings to them. Not only that, but they're going to use this community center as a location to teach English, and they're going to use the Bible as their textbook. And in doing that, and it is legal for them to do this, They're going to take this community center and they're going to plant a church. That will become a church for them, a community center, but a church as well. Not only that, but in the nation of Colombia in Latin America, we're going to be giving $5,000 as well, where the number one industry is actually growing cocaine, coca. And you can imagine that the adults, the teenagers, and unfortunately many small children as well are addicted to cocaine. And they're going to bring in new industries for these people to be involved in so that they don't have to be dependent on the cocaine industry. And they can come out of it. Think about this, church. As I'm going through these things, you're the reason this is happening. Then we go to the continent of Africa in a nation called Burundi, the third poorest nation in all of the continent of Africa. And Nate Lashway is working there. And the Islamic community and the Islamic government has actually determined two sets of codes. They said there is one building code for churches and there's one building code for mosques. Now, they have done this because they're trying to push out the church. And basically what they've said to a mosque is, you can have whatever code you want with the electric and plumbing and whatever, but they've made it very, very difficult for churches. And they have put incredible price tags, at least for those people, knowing that they would never be able to meet the needs that in order to keep their church going. There's a church there that has incredible needs, and all the work can be done for just around $5,000. Now, being the third poorest nation in Africa, there's no way they can afford this. But we're coming in with $5,000, and they're going to be able to make all of the adjustments to that building, all of the renovations. As a matter of fact, it's going to be one of the nicer buildings in that whole area, and it's going to be a church dedicated to the glory of Jesus Christ, and you're the reason for it. Let me tell you about Romania. Romania obviously is in Europe, and we're going to give $5,000 to Mike and Anna Descalescu, and here's what they're going to do. They're saying we want water well equipment, and we want to plant a church and then put a water well right in the front yard of that church. And then tell the whole community, you can come and get water. Now, why would that be so important? Because they live high in the mountains in very, very rocky area. And what they're able to do is to dig down, get to water, and instead of people walking 3 miles, 4 miles one way to get a bucket of water, they walk 2 blocks down the road and they get that water. It makes it so much easier. And everywhere they dig this well, they're going to plant a church. And here's the thing. You know, Anna was telling me, she said, Pastor, water brings hygiene. Just being able to wash clothes and wash your food before eating it keeps them from getting sick. They're able to wash their bodies, obviously, and brush their teeth. To them, it represents prosperity. Not prosperity like we know, going out and buying new cars, but they consider prosperity of just being able to maintain good health standards. And they're going to be, again, planting those churches there. Now, the total cost of a machine is $25,000. We would be joining 4 other churches in buying that piece of equipment. And we're going to be joining 4 other churches in buying that equipment. I don't know where those churches are, just around the country somewhere, which is also kind of cool that we're joining in with these churches. But we're going to be helping them dig water wells over and over and over and over and over again. Not just one, but continuing it over and over. Now let's go to the continent of Asia. We're looking in India. I love this ministry. I love Mission of Mercy. I had a chance to be there for almost 2 weeks, and I got to tell you, it'll change your life. And we're working with Bob and Twyla McGurdy there. Now, the Mission of Mercy, let me just go ahead and tell you that it's a long-standing ministry there. People love it there. Everybody knows about Mission of Mercy. Matter of fact, Mother Teresa, when she was alive, her ministry actually worked side by side with Mission of Mercy. They worked in conglomeration all the time. And so everybody knows this. And so with our $5,140, we're going to first of all be feeding 10,000 people. We're giving 10,000 meals, feeding 10,000 people. Think about that. Beyond that, we're going to be paying for 3 children to get cleft palate surgeries. And you may say, okay, but is that the best way to use it? I mean, do they really need it? And obviously, if you know about cleft palates, it is. It's while it may not be life-threatening, it is something that's difficult even here in America. But in India, it's a different level, because these kids are told that if you have cleft palate, or if you have leukemia, or if you have any other disease, any other problem, that the gods are angry with you and that you are cursed. And it's a caste system, so they're put on the low part of the caste system. I remember just going from our hotel to the church. It's a 15, 17-minute drive maybe. And I didn't see 5 or 10 or 15 homeless. I saw hundreds every time. I had to step over people laying in the streets, and every one missing limbs, cleft palates, something, but they have been thrown to the side. Children without parents. The parents said they're cursed, and they threw them out because they were afraid the curse would come into their home and their other children. And what we're going to do is we're going to some of these parents, and we're saying, hey, you know what? We want to pay for that cleft palate surgery. Think about that. 3 children are going to get a cleft palate surgery, and they're going to have a fresh look. And by the way, these doctors and nurses are going to tell them, you're not cursed. You are loved by God. And there are people that love Jesus, and He's given them their grace. They want you to know that Jesus wants you to have His grace as well. Think about that. Not only that, we're going to pay for 2 children to get leukemia treatments for an entire year. Think about this, for an entire year. All in this $5,140. $5,000 is also going to go to compassion. What we said from the beginning, is going to be used for needed areas of compassion, including relief for natural disasters, a convoy of hope, other areas as deemed necessary. Who would have known COVID-19 would take place? And we were able to bring supplies to doctors and nurses who were working overtime, taking care of people who came down with the coronavirus. Many of them were not able to go to the grocery stores for their kids and so forth. We actually helped provide food, and these doctors and nurses could walk down. They could walk down into the bottom part of the hospital, grab food almost like it was off a shelf at a grocery store, and take it home, because again, they were just too exhausted to go to the grocery stores. And so $3,000 of that $5,000 went to that coronavirus. Not only that, but we're giving $1,000 to Speed the Light. We're going to be digging water wells in Africa. Speed the Light is a ministry where youth across America and our church as well are raising money for missions to do extraordinary things around the world. And so we said is, look, why don't you partner with us as the youth? Why don't you give towards Kingdom Builders, and we will give the $1,000 to Speed the Light. So $1,000 is going to go, and we're going to dig water wells in Africa as well. And then we said right from the beginning, from full disclosure, $2,500 will go to expenses. That's going to be videos, promo, a banquet. We feel like we need to take time and just celebrate what's happening. Many different things along with that. But here's what I want to come down to this. $42,140, and I remember thinking, man, how is this actually going to happen? Are we going to be able to pull this off? That's an additional $50 a month per family unit here at the church. And, will people be able to do that? You know what? I don't know why I ever questioned what Calvary Hill Church would do, but this church has come up big time. This church has come up big time. By the way, I was getting a little nervous about it. I knew that our people were giving in our regular tithes and offerings, but I got to tell you, I asked Pastor Tyler, I said, could you do me a favor? Could you just let me know where we are with our Kingdom Builders? And I'm a little nervous on this. Are we going to make it? Are we getting close? He came to me just this week, and he said, your goal, you said, was $42,140. He said, I have looked at this. I have calculated it over and over and over again. And he said, your giving for Kingdom Builders this year is $46,122.05. And I got to tell you, we had a little bit of a joy time there and just kind of celebration right there in the hallway. 46,000, that means that we have hit our goal and gone above and beyond our goal. And by the way, you may be asking, what are we going to do with that extra money? Well, as we said right from the beginning, that if we took in more, we're going to take some of these needs and we're going to give to more. We may pay for more cleft palate surgery. We may pay for more leukemia treatments. We may feed another 10,000 people. We may do various things having to do with all of the areas that we gave here. We may give 2 parts of that water well thing. Not quite sure. Our board will sit down and kind of work it out, but it's going to go to these same causes that you're already giving to. And I started thinking, I thought, basically in order to raise $42,000 a year, we needed about $3,500 a month. And so here's the plan, and here's my plan. I'm just throwing this out there. Listen, whatever happens from here on, we've won already. But I got to tell you, I started dreaming again and said, what if we could continue that another $3,500 in November, another $3,500 in December? What if we could do that and end up with $53,000 that we can bless the world? That Calvary Hill Church is responsible for blessing the world. You may be thinking you're just giving to a missions organization or really a missions program in our church, but it's so much more than that. You're changing your world. And I've got to tell you, my wife and I, it's our pleasure to be able to give to Kingdom Builders every month along with you, our church family. And together, we've succeeded. And together, we're going to continue to succeed as well. And I look forward to pushing towards that $53,000 mark. And guys, even with coronavirus, we're going to figure out how to celebrate, but we are going to celebrate. By the way, thank you so much for watching this video today. And we'll have many people today, as you're watching this, if you weren't able to be at our fall celebration, we're going to be celebrating under the tent and doing all kinds of fun stuff with that as well. Don't forget to register for next week. We're going to continue in our series, and we're talking about that next great event that's supposed to happen right here on earth. What's next? And so we're going to talk about that. It's a hope that we have. Can't wait to see you then. God bless you, and have a great rest of your day.